UFC 313 is this weekend. We've got Alex Pereira taking on Magomed Ankalaev in the main event, but we've got some other great fights on the card as well. We've got your full fight card breakdown coming up. Don't go anywhere. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of 317 MMA. I'm your boy DS. This is my guy Dino Bam Bam. Man, it's good to be back, brother.
It's good to have you back, DS. It's been a couple weeks. We've been doing some things without you over here at D107 MMA. Just holding line, right? Just being stagnant, but the boy is back. The boy is back, and I'm excited. I don't know if you're excited, but I sure should have.
I missed you, bro. I'm glad to be here. It's a fun card to come back for, obviously. I don't intend on going anywhere anytime soon again. We'll talk about, obviously, the entire card. We're going to talk about John Cena's heel turn.
It was sick.
That was nuts, though. I don't know if you caught that at all, but did you?
I did, yeah. Not live. I saw it on Instagram. It was pretty badass. Everyone should be a heel at some point.
Everyone should be, and some of us are just natural heels.
Facts.
Before we get into UFC 313, where of course the main event is Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Huge fight. We finally get to see Alex at light heavyweight versus a grappler, right? Somebody, people keep saying he's getting strikers, he's, whatever. No matter how you slice it, he's unbelievable, and it's always exciting when he fights. Like I said, some other great fights on the card as well. But before we go into all that, Dino Bam Bam, is there anything you'd like to say?
DS, there actually is, right? If you guys are enjoying the content or have enjoyed previous content or are looking forward to some of the great content we have coming up for you, do like the thing at the bottom says, hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, do all that kind of bullshit. I just dropped a badass video, DS. I know you liked it. Pretty great video on why I think, little spoiler, that Magomed Ankalaev's going to get exposed in this fight. But, watch that later. So do that. Then follow us on Instagram at D107MMA. We got pictures with us and fighters from this card. And we're followed by Yuri. And Alex Pereira blocked us on Instagram, DS. That's fucked up, but needs to be mentioned on the Peloton
I
fight.
I forgot about that. I still don't know why he did that, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's cool. We can't watch any of his shit on like our 107 Instagram, our personal Instagrams. This motherfucker did block them and every account they're associated with. So we don't know what the fuck's going on with them,
And we're both fans. Like, we literally made a video glazing him right before that, like days before that. Maybe it was like, I ain't with that gay shit, I ain't with that foo shit. Just
what it seems like, bro.
Yep.
Fuck Alex.
Anyway, we've got 12 fights on the docket, man. And again, just happy to be here with you right now. Let's jump right into the first one. We've got a bantamweight bout. It's Chris Gutierrez, -105. John Castaneda, his opponent. Pretty much a pick'em here. Dino Bam Bam, let you take this one first. What do you think?
Yeah, DS, first and foremost, I can't imagine that the UFC actually leaves this as the first fight of the early prelims. It makes no sense. This is an absolute fucking banger of a fight. But Chris Gutierrez, as we know, a slick technical striker, great leg kicks. He really chops the legs up, pretty fucking nasty. Fights well on the outside, some decent power. He's an opportunist, man. He waits for his moments and then he goes and gets them. He's super sound. He's super clean. Nothing to hate about Chris Gutierrez. And he's taking on sexy, mexy John Castaneda. John Castaneda, well-rounded, pressure-heavy fighter. Super sharp as well, man. Great boxing, great combos, some decent power to boot. He likes to brawl sometimes, DS, and I don't know if that's the best recipe against a guy as sharp as Chris Gutierrez. I know this is a pick'em. I think the odds just opened up on this fight very recently. I expect them to sway heavily in Chris Gutierrez's favor, so I'm going to be betting this one. I'm betting Chris Gutierrez to win this fight by decision, and I think if you're going to bet it, do it now.
Yep. Yeah, 100% agree, man. Chris Gutierrez is actually top 5 in leg kicks landed in the UFC. Overall, great striking. But I think what I like most about him is his defensive movement, right? He's tough to hit. He moves around a lot. Now, he's not the most aggressive striker. By the way, why are you in the big window?
You're the big one. I don't know what the hell's going on here. It should be you.
There we go.
What is going on? I'm trying to smoke my vape while you talk, and it just keeps switching me.
You're burning yourself up, brother. You put yourself on the big screen.
I'm smoking on the big screen. Jeez.
Anyway, Gutierrez is now 33 years old, man. I'm kind of getting the sense that the best is probably behind him, I don't really see Chris Gutierrez improving much at this point. Obviously, his opponent, John Castaneda, really good wrestler. Like you said, man, he's a little brawly. And at times, to me, John Castaneda in there just kind of looks like he doesn't really have a game plan, or maybe he's not following his game plan. He just looks a little lost in there at times. That being said, he's tough as hell. He's got a little bit of power. He's not the most technical striker by any means. Like you said, man, brawly is pretty much the perfect way to describe him here. I am afraid of the leg kicks. I do think that he's going to get his legs punished here. I just see a fairly close fight here, man. I was kind of close to picking John Castaneda. I'm just not a big fan of him. I never really was. I got to go with Chris Gutierrez here. Has fought high level competition. You look like really what's Gutierrez's most impressive win? An out of prime Frankie Edgar. I'm still going with him. I'm going to go 29-28 decision for Chris Gutierrez.
Yeah, man. I do think the odds are going to sway in this one, DS. So again, if you guys are betting Chris Gutierrez, I have to imagine the odds are going to get wider here. I probably see him ending up as like a minus 140, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. I could even see it going maybe a little higher than that, but we'll see. Moving on. Next fight on the card, we've got Ozzy Diaz. He is a slight underdog. He's taking on Jordan. Jordan. That's a wild way. That's like a Serbian way to spell Jordan. We
Jordan.
got Jordan Santos. And this is an interesting fight, man. You know, there's a high probability here that one of these guys gets knocked out. To me, man, both of these guys look kind of goofy on the feet, to be quite honest with you. Jordan Santos looks goofy as shit on the feet. He looks like, like I don't know. He just looks like very like twitchy and scared, but hey, he gets it done, man. He's got surprisingly good cardio for like you look at him, you wouldn't really expect it. He doesn't have a ton of power. I really do expect the power advantage here to be on the side of Ozzy Diaz. And both these guys are really primarily strikers, right? So we've got Jordan Santos, who's not really a finisher, but he's more of a volume kind of puncher, volume striker. And I mean, yeah, he got a decent win on the Contender Series. He showed some decent cardio. He fought Will Curry, who was like very highly touted. He was a pretty sizable underdog there too. So good win there. To me, I don't know. He just didn't really pass the eye test, if that makes sense. I do expect Ozzy Diaz to have a decent power advantage here, brother. Cardio is going to be on the side of Jordan Santos. This is kind of a pickup for me, man. It really is, and I think the odds could certainly be closer. A lot of people are picking Jordan Santos. I think on Tapology, I saw it was like 85% or something like that. I am certainly not that confident. I am going to take him just because Ozzy Diaz maybe doesn't belong in the UFC. So I'm going to go with Jordan Santos. Think we see a decision win for him here. It's a pretty low confidence pick for me, though.
Yeah, DS, you kind of stole my thunder, man. Basically the same thing, right? I'm going to keep it real. To me, Ozzy Diaz is not UFC caliber. Or if he is, he's low level UFC caliber. Last time out, man, unfair for him, I guess. He had to face a monster in Ming Yang Zhang, got knocked out.
I love that guy, by the way.
Yeah, he's awesome, dude. He's going to put Anthony Smith's career to fucking rest soon. But yeah, look, just unfair for Ozzy Diaz coming in versus a killer. Didn't look great in that fight, obviously, but just never really passed the eye test. Not that Jordan Santos really does, but same thing, man. I could see a late finish, but I'll probably go decision as well. Jordan Santos, unanimous decision.
Jordan Santos not a finisher. Ozzy Diaz can be cracked. You know what I mean? I just
right,
don't think
exactly.
Jordan Santos is the guy to do it. I think he'll fight a safer fight than that,
Yeah, I see this being a pretty boring decision.
Yep. I could also see a vicious knockout, I will say.
In which way? Who's doing it?
Probably Ozzy Diaz if it happens at that point. But man, I was close to picking that. I think there could be some value here in Ozzy Diaz. We'll see when the prop comes out too. That might be a little sprinkle Diaz by knockout.
I know.
Moving on, third fight of the night, we've got Myron Santos. He won the Ultimate Fighter, of course, and he is now taking on Francis Marshall. Francis Marshall is a sizable underdog here, despite Myron Santos really getting his first UFC fight. Obviously, the championship of the Ultimate Fighter counts as a professional bout. Francis Marshall coming down to 145. What do you think's gonna happen here?
Yeah, DS. I mean, let's start with Myron Santos, man. He's super well-rounded, dude. Sharp striking, great grappling to back that up. He looked really damn good on the Ultimate Fighter, man. Every single fight in the house, he was looking great. He looked great in the finale versus
He
Khan
looked like the
Offley.
best guy. day one to the last day, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you expected him to win, right? When you saw him, you figured this was going to be the guy to win. Great submissions, great scramble game, keeps a high pace, good cardio. Nothing to hate about Myron Santos taking on Francis Marshall, a relentless wrestler, man. Super grindy, super heavy on top, does a great job in the clinch game, likes to kind of bully his opponents. Last time out, of course, we did see him, I believe, against Dennis Bazookia, right? That was the last fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, got himself a good win there. He's 2-2 in the UFC, man. His main weapon is just going to be cardio, pace, being relentless with the grappling, and he does have some good power to boot. Now, to me, DS, this is Myron Santos all the way, man. I'm going TKO round one. I think he showed us in the Tough House that he was the best guy there, and usually the best guy in the Ultimate Fighter comes into the UFC and does things. Let's forget about Muhammad Usman and and the heavyweights and stuff. Heavyweights kind of an anomaly, but
Well,
this guy.
particularly when it's a young guy, you know.
Exactly, and let's not forget he beat Khan Offley, and Khan Offley gave Muhammad Naimov a run for his money in the last fight. So Khan Offley, a guy that's pretty good in the UFC, and Myron Santos kind of made light work of him. I believe a lot more in Myron Santos than I do Francis Marshall. I don't want it to sound like I'm putting Marshall down. Just Santos to me is the real deal. So TKO round one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you had a great breakdown there. Santos is really, really good, man. I'm very excited to see where his career goes. I do think he belongs in the UFC. I think this is a great first match, honestly. The weight thing too, 55 to 45. I think there's a distinct speed difference, right? I think that it's 10 pounds, right? You wouldn't think so. I think there are weight classes where that 10-pound difference is not so pronounced. Whereas in this one, I think, I'm curious to see basically how Francis Marshall's takedowns translate, how his power, his strength, physical strength translates. He's like you said, he's a relentless grappler, man, relentless wrestler. He doesn't have any sort of real power. He can hold his own on the feet. Myron Santos or Marion Santos, I'm sorry, Myron Santos, sorry. The thing with him, man, is that he's so calm, cool, and collected for a young guy, right? Where you don't like, especially a young Brazilian guy, you don't really like, he's explosive as shit, but he's calm and collected. Like he will wait for the right moment to shoot that big shot, to throw that big overhand, to shoot that flying knee. He almost caught Con Offley with a massive flying knee early in their fight. So yeah, man, I think he's got all the tools. He's going to be much more athletic. He's going to have the power advantage on the feet. He's going to be the more technical striker. He's going to have more tools on the feet. Francis Marshall, really, to me, his only bet is to kind of wrestle him and take him down. But Myron Santos showed really good takedown defense in the Ultimate Fighter too. So I think it's a tough fight for Francis Marshall. I agree with you. I think that Myron Santos will get the win here. I'm gonna go with the second round knockout here. I think we get, he's I don't think he's gonna come out swinging, right? I do think he will time a perfect shot. It could be in the first round. I'm not saying he couldn't, but I'm gonna go with the second round knockout.
Yeah, DS, I love what you said, man, about his patience. He is a very patient fighter, and especially for being a young Brazilian guy, right? We like to think of those guys as being very, the flashy fighters, right? They come out, they're very aggressive, they're over swinging, things like that. Not the case with Myron Santos, and still, yet he's a kid that believes in himself so much to where he said, "I'm gonna be a UFC champion." He was being interviewed by Michael Bisping in the octagon after
And
that
it feels
win.
like he believes it.
Yeah, and he told Michael Bisping, "You're an inspiration to me, man. You did exactly what I want to do. You won this show, and you went on to be a UFC champion. That's gonna be my legacy. That's what I'm doing." So, good
And
luck
not,
to the
not to
kid.
be an old head, honestly, I'm sorry. I just have to say it is refreshing to hear a young guy say that and give respect to somebody who's been there and done it. And especially somebody like Bisping, right? He gets clowned on a lot. This motherfucker was a UFC champion, bro. He's the cream of the crop. That's at one point. So
Yeah,
it's just nice and refreshing to see it. I like the attitude. I like the power. I like the striking. I think he's not gonna yeah. I think it's gonna be fairly easy for him.
let's get it.
All right, moving on. We've got Alex Morono. He is taking on Carlos Leal. Holy fuck, dude! Is that what the odds
Bananas,
are now?
bananas,
Holy fuck, dude.
fucking
This
crazy.
is my first time seeing these odds, any of them, I will just say, but holy fuck, that's insane. That being said, Carlos Leal is an absolute tank. He's almost certainly juicing. If you look at the back knee that he has, look at his traps, that brother is very, very likely juicing or was recently. That being said, he's got really good striking, man. He mixes it up great. I love the 1-2. He puts on a pretty relentless pace, man. I don't think he's got like the greatest cardio in the world. Alex Morono, I think, has the ability to outlast him. I just simply don't think it will get there, and these odds kind of speak to that. Again, they're fucking crazy to me. Alex Morono is a veteran. He's been here for a long time. He's fought a lot of the best fighters in the world. I just don't believe in Alex Morono, man. I really don't. And to me, Carlos Leal looked really good against Rinat Fakhretdinov last time out. Many people were counting him out. He had Fakhretdinov on skates a couple times. He was beating his ass. So,
He got robbed.
huh?
He got robbed.
He got robbed. That was a robbery. So, yeah, I mean, Carlos Leal, man, really impressed me last time. The aggression, the power, the just mixing it up, man. Good kicks in general, good punches, really crisp 1-2s. To me, man, I just think Alex Morono is done. He's always kind of been a sluggish fighter, and he's not the most aggressive, and he kind of plays the long game, and I just don't think he's going to be able to do that against a fighter that's as aggressive as Carlos Leal is. If he has a similar game plan like he did last time out, Rinat Fakhretdinov is much better than Alex Morono, in my opinion. So I think Carlos Leal is going to get a second round knockout here, man. I really do. I think it's going to be an early second round knockout, and I think he's going to put Alex Morono out cold.
CDS, to me, the thing that's super crazy about these odds, I mean, first of all, they're just fucking wild. Just in general, they're crazy. Carlos Leal should not be a minus 850 against really anybody in the UFC, especially a guy
That's
that's a
true. That's
veteran.
honestly well said.
Yeah, especially a guy that's a veteran that's fought some of the best dudes in the world, as you said. The other part of it that's shocking to me is while you said, you don't believe in Morono, I don't either. But he is tough, man. He's tough to finish. And when I see minus 850, my assumption is that this guy's going to either walk through this guy and finish him early or get a finish later on in the fight. And I don't see that either. I do see Carlos Leal winning this fight. I just see it being by decision. I think he just kind of whoops on Alex Morono for the majority of the 15 minutes. And
I
yeah,
think
just gets.
Morono's only been knocked out once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's tough to finish, dude.
Yeah.
So I don't see Leal being the guy to do that and, crack his chin or anything like that. I think he whoops his ass, though, for what it's worth. So give me Leal by decision. I wouldn't touch this with your fucking dick in terms of betting.
All right. So do we agree on everything pretty much so far?
So far.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. And the next one's a banger, man. Banger of a fight. We've got Bruno Ferreira. He is taking on Armen Petrosian. The odds are pretty close here. They're fighting, of course, at 185. What do you think's gonna happen here, man?
Yeah, it's a very fun fight, man. Bruno Ferreira, a very powerful striker. He does have the ability to mix things up, Dino, and he does it pretty well. He's super fast, explosive for the division. He stays composed as well. You mentioned that with Myron Santos. Nice to see a guy with that much raw power and finishing ability be a dude that is very patient. And I like that from him. He's got a decent ground game as well. He's taken on Armen Petrosian, who, of course, last time out was on the opposite end of the highlight reel, right? Shara Bullet's double spinning elbow put him down and out, and that was pretty fucking tough to deal with, I'm sure, for him.
You know what
Armin
freaked
Petr-
my ass out?
huh?
They only 8-4. He only has 12 MMA fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that came from kickboxing, right?
I know. I
So,
just in my head, like, if you would have asked me, I would have been like 14. Or I
yeah,
mean like 14 wins, like 14 and like 6 or some shit. Like
right. But look, he's good, DS. Armin Petrosian, when it comes to the stand up, he's as good as anyone, really. He's got great stand up game. I don't like the fact that he gets brawly sometimes, but again, that comes from years of experience in kickboxing. I'm sure he feels safe in those situations, but technically, he is very good. I think Bruno Ferreira's best method of winning this fight is to mix in the takedowns, something that we've seen him be kind of hesitant in doing. But I think he's going to do that in this fight. I think he's going to go for takedowns early and often. And I think that's going to be the advantage for him. I think he gets a couple takedowns, and I think eventually he gets a TKO to ground and pound. Round two, round two.
okay, that's interesting because I couldn't decide because I believe that Ferreira does have the better jiu-jitsu for sure, but Armin Petrosian's like not terrible on the ground, but like Bruno is the better grappler, should be the more powerful guy on the ground too. He's stockier and he's just strong as fuck, right? The Hulk is such a fitting nickname for him. It's just like you said, we haven't really seen him do it, and the guy's a fucking tank, dude. He's 5'10", right? And most of these guys are way bigger than him, but he's just such a goddamn tank. I will also say, right, to me, like Vitor Petrino and him kind of came in at the same time with like, oh shit, these are two tanks,
Yep.
right? Knockout artists. And it's like, whereas Vitor Petrino has definitely not improved, Bruno Ferreira, to me at least, seems like he has improved, right? He doesn't throw the kitchen sink at you every single time in the first round now. Like the last fight, it was against what's his name? Who did he
That was,
fight, brother?
that was a great fight. Hey, but yes, no, I'm glad you mentioned that because with him and Vitor Petrino, I'm willing to say at this point that Vitor Petrino is a fraud. I'm not willing to say that about
Right.
Bruno Ferreira.
No, and I don't think you can. Now, I will say though, I think that we're getting to the fight. It was versus Abus, by the way, Abus
Yeah.
Magomedov. So, like, I was actually shocked at how not. I don't know. I don't want to say flat. I guess he did come out kind of flat in that one, but the activity level was very low compared to his usual activity level. Now, was that the threat of the takedown? And then his corner between rounds, I remember, was basically like, you got to up the ante here, push the pace, and he beat the shit out of him in the second round. He almost finished him a couple times in the second round. So ended up losing that fight, kind of gassed out, and Abus Magomedov, ever the opportunist, threw in that arm triangle as he was. Look, UFC fighters don't really tap the triangles unless you have a perfect angle on it, and unless you're fucking exhausted. Bruno Ferreira at that point was fucking exhausted. But that second round, man, told me a lot. I think he's definitely not a fraud, but I think we're getting to the point where he's kind of like the Armin Petrosians of the world. I do think I agree with you that he's going to win this fight. I think it's going to be close. I think it could be pretty much a pick 'em here because Petrosian is the more technical striker for sure. I think this is, we'll see if he can get past. I think he beats Armin Petrosian, but then after that, I think it gets kind of hairy for him, right? And I'm very curious to see who they give him next, assuming that he wins this fight, and kind of how he's going to do after that, right? I am going to pick him. I agree with you. I guess I'm gonna stay by TKO. I'm gonna say that he drops Petrosian in like the middle of the second round and ends up following up some big shots and gets the TKO finish here. But like I said, man, Armin Petrosian is a dangerous fighter. I really like him as well, but I gotta go with Fajita here.
Yeah, I feel you, man. This could be like the end of the road, right? Like his ceiling kind of thing. And I get that.
His
Armin
feeling. That's
Petrosian,
kind of what I was trying to say. Exactly.
yeah, and Armin Petrosian's a beast. He could definitely win this fight. That's why he's the minus 155. I just think that Bruno Ferreira is going to be smart enough and his team's going to be smart enough to mix in the grappling.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're right. That's probably the easiest way to go about it. So all right, moving on. We've got Ray Saruya. He is taking on Joshua Van. And dude, I hate the matchmaking in this one. I really, really hate the matchmaking here. I know that Ray Saruya is stepping in on short notice here. Josh Van needed an opponent. So all credit to Ray Saruya, the Japanese fighter, 22 years old. Josh Van, 23 years old. These are two of the top five youngest fighters in the entire promotion. I don't like I get like, oh, two young guys up and coming, and this is kind of like, again, an opportunity for a UFC fighter who's coming from road to the UFC and is, looked really good, is trying to make a name for himself. He's only 22, he doesn't have that much to lose, especially against somebody who's already so highly touted like Josh Van is in the flyweight division at only 23 years old. I would just rather have seen him go through another, give him like a Cody Durden or like, you know what I mean? Like give him somebody on Josh Van's level, fine, and see what happens there. I guess this way, whoever does win, even if let's say Josh Van, who I expect to win here, spoiler alert, even if whoever does lose or whoever does win, right? It's like you don't have that much to lose, and then the other guy's like shooting up, right? Uh, this is an interesting matchup though, man. Ray Saruya is like a damn demon on the ground, right? He can find a submission, it seems like, from any position. He almost got a twister last fight. He's just a demon on the ground, man. He's literally super, super dangerous. Whereas Josh Van is primarily a boxer, man. Primarily a boxer. The cardio, at times with Josh Van too, we've seen is maybe a little questionable. Ray Saruya, I just think Josh Van is better, right? I think at this stage of their careers, Josh Van is simply better. Ray Saruya, I don't think he's going to have enough power on the feet to really demand the respect of Josh Van. right? I think once Joshua Van realizes that, he's going to be able to kind of open up and unload. And we've seen him be a little bit of a slow starter too. And I could see that happening again in this one. I just don't trust Ray Surya. I think it's a little bit too much too soon in this one. I'm pretty high on Ray Surya overall, though. I think, there's a place for him in this division. I would like to see him maybe bulk up a little bit, put a little bit of muscle on that frame. Josh Van is, kind of stocky and jacked. And he's also really hard to take down. I think that's the biggest thing for me is Josh Van is just simply very hard to take down. And I just think Ray Surya is going to struggle with that. And I think eventually we see a late finish. I'm thinking like an early to mid third round TKO. Josh Van reverses a position on the ground. Ray Surya is getting a little bit tired. They're both a little bit slippery and sweaty at this point, and Josh Van just lands some big shots and ends up getting the TKO finish.
Yeah, a couple things I want to piggyback off of, Dino. Number one, hate the matchmaking here. I don't understand why the UFC would put together a 22 versus a 23-year-old. It's
Yep.
like you're trying to kill somebody's
One
moment.
undefeated and one we've seen is very good already.
Right. So
Right.
so really that makes zero sense to me, man. And again, I don't love the odds here. I think it should be a little closer. Ray Saruya is a guy that is undefeated, a nasty grappler, super heavy wrestler.
And not a nobody on, I'm sorry to interrupt you, bro. And not
No,
a
you're
nobody on the ground. Like,
right.
or on the
Absolutely.
feet, sorry. Like,
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's got some power and shit. Again, look, I do think Josh Van wins this fight for the same reasons you said. I just believe he's the better fighter. I don't think he's going to get absolutely smothered in the grappling. Low confidence here. I'm going Josh Van by decision. Just still don't love the matchmaking. And I think yet again, DS, by the way, we're going to see another undefeated fighter lose their O this year. We're in March. We've already seen like 7 of them.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy. And a lot of them were legit. They weren't like some fake ass, like,
the
Dagestani
vast
fighter
majority.
coming in.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Yeah.
crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. Hate the matchmaking. All right. Moving on. We've got your boy Curtis Blades, Chicago product. Shout out to the best city in the world.
Yeah.
He's taking on known fucking cheater, Rizvan Kuniev, known as cheater, straight fucking steroid abuser. Rizvan Kuniev, you wouldn't know it from looking at his physique. How do you see this fight going?
Yeah, man. First and foremost, Rizvan Kuniev being signed by the UFC is absolutely fucking crazy to me. I know he did his thing on the Contender Series and whatnot, but just bringing in a guy that is a known steroid cheat, like you said, failed multiple tests, was caught with like multiple steroids in his system after beating Renan Ferreira in a decision, which is an impressive win in itself. But of course, he was roided to the fucking gills. That got overturned. Just signing the guy makes no sense, man, especially when there's just a little bit of the rumbling about the Dagestanis and their them using steroids and shit like that. Probably wrong timing for the UFC to bring this guy in, but I digress. He's taking on Curtis Blades, man. Curtis Blades, as we know, DS, a long time staple in the top 5 of this heavyweight division, a super heavy wrestler, man. Fucking 6-7 takedowns a fight is his average. Fast, clean, explosive, just athletic as dog shit. And Curtis Blades, of course, known for that vicious ground and pound. As of late, the last 2 years or so, we've seen some good improvement in Curtis Blades' stand up, right?
For
And
sure.
Curtis Blades' kryptonite has always been what, DS? You tell
Big
me.
power punchers.
Big power punchers. It's been that way forever, right? Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis and Tom Aspinall and those are the guys that beat Curtis Blades, and those are literally the only guys that beat Curtis Blades, right? So he loses to that kind of fighter. Everyone else gets dominated. He's taken on, as you mentioned, the fucking cheater and Rizvan Kuniev, who's Dagestani. He kind of has that prototypical Dagestani approach. He's a heavy wrestler. He swings big overhands to get to the wrestling, and that's sort of his recipe, man. Look, Curtis Blades is not going to be out wrestled by any heavyweight on the planet, DS. I think that was very clear when we saw him versus Jalton Almeida. That's just not happening. You're not out grappling this dude. He's going to be the best wrestler in the entire division. As far as on the feet, I don't think Rizvan Kuniev has that nuclear power that a Francis Ngannou or a Derek Lewis in his time or a Tom Aspinall right now has, or Sergey Pavlovich, the other guy that beat Curtis Blades. Those
Yep.
guys have crazy power. Rizvan Kuniev does not. I think Curtis Blades, if it goes to the ground, mauls him, but more than likely, I see Curtis Blades keeping this on the feet and getting himself a TKO in round 1.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. All right. I like it. Yeah, I fucking hate this fight. I hate this fight. I don't see like the disrespect to Curtis Blades is unbelievable. He tends to be disrespected in this division, and it's the worst fucking division in the sport. So, and then just even just cutting guys like Jairzinho Rozenstruik. It's like, what the fuck are you guys doing, man?
Alexander
So
Romanov was cut as well.
that's unbelievable. That's
Yep.
unbelievable. Okay, Romanov is top 15, no question.
So was Jairzinho.
Well, Jorginho, I thought was top 10, like
Yeah.
easily. You know, I mean, maybe top 5. So,
Right.
very, very weird things going on at heavyweight. Yeah, you said they shouldn't have given him a shot. They shouldn't have even brought him on the contender series. I don't give a shit that he knocked out. By the way, they both look fucking terrible. Like those two guys, those two heavyweights in the contender series, the Brazilian guy that he fought, dude,
Yeah.
that guy, okay, when they were listing off his credentials, it's like he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He was on the Brazilian national team for wrestling. He is like doing all this shit, and bro looked fucking terrible in there. He was literally against the cage, like what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Yeah, I pretty much agree with you, man. This Kuniev is a fucking cheater. I hope he's off roids. That's a concern though, right? Is like they're bring him in short notice and shit. Like, are they fucking testing these guys? Like, are they testing this fucking guy for roids? Like, oh, and by the way, you're like, oh, the rumblings of these Dagestanis. Oh, you mean from the country that was literally banned from the Olympics for fucking doping?
Right.
Like, so yeah, I fuck this guy. I hope Curtis Blades beats the fuck out of him. I think, yeah, I'm seeing a late first round knockout as well. I kind of feel like he's gonna, drop him, maybe have him against the cage, and eventually get him down and just kind of pummel him. In what's called in retro Curtis Blades fashion. I don't think, like you said, man, I don't think he's got the power to really fuck with Curtis Blades like a lot of these guys do that kind of have put it on him. But fuck this guy, man. Fuck this guy for real. I don't think he belongs here. I hope he doesn't stick around for very long. Weird things going on at heavyweight. Also, I just want to say the shit that he was popped for, bro. It wasn't. It was literally 4 things that he was popped for, and I looked them up. And I know about this shit, right? Like they were all like steroids or pro homos. It wasn't like, oh, like a gray area kind of, fucking nitrous oxide or so. I don't know what the fuck is banned and what's not banned, but it's like it was straight up steroids, 4 of them. So fuck this guy. Curtis Blades by knockout.
Yeah. A couple other things. DS. Number one, we mentioned this guy being signed, and that's fucked up. He's getting a top 5 guy in the world in his UFC debut. That's the treatment that, I mean, Yuri didn't get that, right? Justin Gaethje, when he was signed, hyped coming in, didn't get that. Michael Chandler didn't get a top 5 guy. He got number 6 in Dan Hooker. So this guy coming in facing a number 5 guy is fucking crazy to me. And I get it's heavyweight and they want to make some moves over there. And then another thing, just really quickly, we mentioned the Dagestanis and steroids and all that right now. There are 3 current fighters in the UFC that are suspended. One, the aforementioned, our boy Dennis Bazukia got suspended for slapping the fan that was talking shit to Marab, right? Remember that? The Dagestani guy was
Yep.
talking to Marab.
Yep.
Bazukia slapped him. He's suspended for that. Number 2, Walt Harris. As we know, the big ticket, Walt Harris, he's been basically banned for life, right? They gave him like a 5-year suspension. That's a death sentence at 41 years old. So it
What do
was
you do again?
steroids.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. And then the final one,
But
Azamat
how is
Mirzakhanov.
that not hypocritical?
Yeah. Crazy. And then check this out. Azamat Mirzakhanov, DS, is the third guy. He was popped for steroids as well. His second violation under USADA, under the UFC, under the Zuffa umbrella, his second violation. And he gets 6 months, and you give Walt Harris 4 years for a guy that's popped twice. So it's like, not a good look, UFC.
That's
Not a
got to
good
be
look.
racist. Walt Harris was ass too. Let's be honest, but
But
whatever.
still, what are we doing at heavyweight? Like, who gives a shit?
Yep, yep. We should just sign up. Um, yeah. Let's stop talking about this guy because it angers me. So moving on. Next fight we've got Bobby Green. He is taking on Mauricio Hoofy. Mauricio Hoofy is a minus 500. I saw as high as minus 600, basically. Favorite here. I'm gonna pick him, man. I'm gonna pick him, but again, the odds are fucking crazy to me here. This is a big step up in competition. I know Mauricio Hoofy's giving old, 145-pound Connor vibes with the stance and the striking, and he's exciting. But dude, James Lontop was giving him some problems during that fight at certain points. So Bobby Green, even at 38 years old, should be a lot better than James Lontop, right? Now, I know James Lontop is like a fucking tank. Like, he's hard to, like, he's got like his defense, he's like a paladin, right? His defense, like, stats are like all the way up and shit.
Right.
But besides that, like, who's Hoofy's most notable win? Jamie fucking Malarkey. He's at. So he's looked really good. He's had a shit ton of knockouts, and I'm not taking that away from him. I think he's one of the most exciting new fighters in the promotion. And look, Bobby Green is very unorthodox, but so is Hoofy, right? I just think at 38 and a half, the best years of Bobby Green's career at this point are certainly behind him. Mauricio Hoofy is exciting. Bobby Green is very hittable. That's the biggest thing to me, right? Is that he's become more and more hittable too. And especially when he's doing some of his unorthodox shit. I think Hoofy, who's very calm and collected in there, about his like dude, like his heart rate's like 47 in there, right? So, I just don't see somebody like that with the striking repertoire that we've seen from him already. I don't see him, feeling out of sorts against somebody like Bobby Green because he's unorthodox, right? We saw Jared Gordon taking it to Bobby Green. So yeah, Mauricio Hoofy's certainly a lot better than Jared Gordon to me. I'm very comfortable even now already saying that. So I'm gonna pick him. I think he drops Bobby Green and does get the TKO finish with some ground and pound. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say in the second round. I think Bobby does survive and get some licks in the first round. But yeah, I definitely see a finish here for Hoofy.
Yeah, I see it the exact same way, DS. I don't want to talk too much about this fight. I think Mauricio Hoofy is going to knock Bobby Green out in the second for all the reasons that you said. Couple things to touch on. Number one, I disagree. I don't think that Mauricio Hoofy's best win name-wise was Jamie Malarkey. I think it was the fight on the Contender Series against Raymond Magomed, who is
Sure.
a Dagestani fighter that deserves some of that praise, right? So he's one of the good ones. And look, these fighting nerds are fucking taking over, man. Gene Silva's massive now. Carlos Prates is finishing everybody. Caio Bajalio's one fight away from a title. And Mauricio Hoofy is the fourth one, man. And this kid looks the real deal. Yes, James Lontop, that was a tough fight for him, but James Lontop is a guy that is notoriously difficult to finish. You said all his stats are on defense. The dude is tough as shit. He can take a beating, and that's really what was going on there. So it was a little disappointing to not see a finish from Hoofy. I think Bobby Green's chin cannot take the sort of damage that it used to back in the day. I think once Bobby Green gets loose and a little comfortable in this fight, that's going to be his downfall. I think Mauricio Hoofy's going to crack him. One more thing, if you watched UFC Embedded today, Caio Bajalio was talking about how he discovered Mauricio Hoofy, and he said he went to the gym that Hoofy was at, and he saw this kid, and he was like, damn, this guy's good. And he goes, and after just training with him for a little bit, I was like, holy shit, this is the best fighter I've seen in the entire world. So that's the kind of praise that he's getting from a guy like Caio Bajalio. I buy into the hype, man. I've been big on the Hoofy train for a
It's gonna
while.
be wild when Bajalio turns out to be the worst of them.
Isn't yeah, and it's possible, dude. Because Prates, man, is the real deal. Fucking Gene Silva's the real deal. This guy's I don't fucking know, dude. These guys
Yep.
are doing something down there at Fighting Nerds.
Fighting
Can we get
nerds for sure.
can we
They're
get the
going in.
t-shirts? We should get the t-shirts, the Fighting Nerds t-shirts.
I'm down. Let's
They're
do it.
kind of making me a fan now, so let's ride.
I mean, I can't think of another gym that I'm a bigger fan of at this point. So
Let's ride.
yeah, let's do it. All right, moving on. We've got one of the few. Is it the only women's fight on
Yeah.
this one? No, no, it is. It literally is. Wow, that's crazy. All right, we got Amanda Lemos. She is taking on her fellow countrywoman Yasmin Lucindo, another super young fighter, only 23 years old. Literally just turned 23 in fucking like December. What do you think is gonna happen here, brother? I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about this one, actually.
Yeah, man, this is gonna be your final moment of like rest before the fucking shit hits the fan because the last three fights are absolutely fucking crazy. So take your pisses, warm up your food, do whatever the fuck you're doing during this fight. Amanda Lemos, one of the most dangerous power punchers, I guess, in the division, right? If you compare it to the other girls, she's got that. She's pretty explosive on the feet. She does have the ability to finish fights, DS, which is saying a lot when it comes to women's MMA. Heavy low kicks. The problem with Amanda Lemos has been her gas tank. She tends to gas out, and her output drops as the fight goes on. She's taken on Yasmin Lucindo, very young, aggressive, high-paced striker, solid grappling skills. She thrives when she's going forward and pushing the pressure. Now, to me, it's sort of like a simple math equation, right? We got young versus old. We got a pressure fighter versus somebody that doesn't handle pressure very well in Amanda Lemos. So I'm going to pick Yasmin Lucindo. I mean, of course, I'm picking this by decision. My confidence level, though, is very low, DS. Amanda Lemos, for what it's worth, is a girl that's been there, done that. She's fought for the title, and this might be too big a step up for Yasmin Lucindo. I'm still going to trust in her because she does look like the real deal. So Lucindo by decision, but I'm not confident at all.
Yeah, yeah, man. Both these girls hit like trucks. You see a Brazilian woman with a pompadour, you know that she's gonna fucking be throwing bombs. So, uh, yeah, both these women throw bombs. They got real power on the feet. I guess I would you give the power advantage to Amanda Lemos still?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and if it is, it's not by much. And maybe she's the better striker, but Yasmin Lustindo is very good, man. And if Amanda Lemos has the most power in the division, she's might be second, third. Like she's up there too. To me, the biggest difference is really on the ground, and that's been kind of Amanda Lemos' kryptonite. She's 1-2 over her last three, and yes, it's to the best fighters in the world in that weight class. 23 to 37, man, 1 inch reach advantage too. I'm going to pick Lucindo as well, man. But like you said, I'm not super confident in it. I just think that we see Lucindo get it to the ground at some point, and Amanda Lemos is not the best there. I think she also gasses out more on the ground as well. And I think we're going to see Lucindo threaten some submissions. And she's a finisher, man. She goes for it. She absolutely goes for it, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. It's one of those interesting situations. Like she's 23. Like that seems like too young, but it's like there's literally nobody else in the weight class. Like I think this is an appropriate step up for her. It is a big step up. She just
Agreed.
beat Marina Rodriguez, but yeah, we'll see, man. Again, 23. Even if she does lose, I don't expect her to get dominated by any means, and I think she's here to stay. I really believe in Yasmin Lucindo, and I would like to see her win this fight.
Hey DS, we're approaching some fucking uncharted territory here, bro. Just so you know.
What do you mean?
With 3 fights remaining, brother, we have not disagreed once. We have never, in the entirety of the show, gone end to end agreeing on every single fight. And I think the only place we're disagreeing, if we do, is this next one. So I'm very fucking interested to see what you have to say about this next fight. Go ahead and present it.
Well, this next fight really comes down. First of all, we've got two guys, and it's of course Jalen Turner and Ignacio Bahamondes down there. These are two guys getting a piece of their own medicine, right? It's two 6'3" guys, the biggest weight bullies at 155, getting a taste of their own medicine because they're both fucking 6'3", and not only are they both 6'3",
You
they
know what's
both
funny? I'm sorry to cut you off really quickly. I knew these guys are the 2 tallest guys in the division, right? And of course, that factored into what I was thinking, but I never really thought of it that way. Yeah, these guys are both big as shit, and they are getting a taste of their own medicine. It's like,
they're
fuck
not.
you. You've never fought someone as tall as you? Here you go. Here's someone as fucking tall as you.
Yep, this guy's doing the same shit you're doing. It's like two dogs in a trench coat meeting two other dogs in a trench coat type shit. Now that being said, Ignacio Bahamondes did just fight what's his name? That's also pretty tall, Manuel Torres.
Yeah.
So, I guess he's kind of, Jalen Turner, this is uncharted territory for him. Look, man, these guys are both really good strikers. Ignacio Bahamondes, I just think is the better striker. I think he's got more power at this point too. I also see him improving more, right? I just feel like every time I see him, he seems to have added a new facet or he's improved on something. Whereas Jalen Turner to me feels like somebody who I don't know that he believes he's ever really going to be a champion, right? And we see him make a lot of mental mistakes too. Sometimes some low IQ kind of stuff and just stupid decisions, walking away from knockouts and shit like that. Whereas Ignacio Bahamondes does not have those mental lapses, and for me, that's going to be the biggest difference here, man. I just think, and also we see. Look, I'm big on fighters quitting. A little power. I'm big on the mental side of things, and if I've seen you quit before, right, and it's like, look, who am I to say, right? But if I've seen you do that, man, it takes a lot away from the whole stature of the fighter to me. And I think, look, as far as the ground game, I think if anybody's going to get it to the ground and do anything on the ground, it will be Ignacio Bahamondes. At this point of their careers, I even trust him on the ground more. I think it's close. I could absolutely see Jalen Turner winning here. And I just think to me, the biggest difference is the mental side, man. And I'm going to have to give it to Ignacio Bahamondes. And I think that eventually he starts landing big shots on the ground on Jalen Turner. I think it's going to get to the ground at some point. And I think you're going to see Jalen Turner kind of cover up and, just take the TKO loss in the second round.
Hey, look, DS, a couple things, man. Jalen Turner, a guy that was known for having a good ground game, but I do think a lot of that was due to the fact that he's so long and rangy, right? You alluded to
100%.
him kind of being a height bully or whatever we want to call it. Long limbs, man, those are usually good for submissions. Long limbs work against guys that are, average for the weight class. You have Ignacio Bahamondes, who kind of has the same thing, right? He's long and rangy as well. He has some of those sub skills. We've seen those on display. I forgot who it was that he choked up with a ghillie up against the cage standing. Look, man, I do think Jalen Turner is the better fighter of these two, but for the same reasons you're saying, man, I think it's the low IQ of Jalen Turner. And I don't want to say the quitting aspect of it. Maybe I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's the IQ portion for me for sure, man. The Renato Moicano fight left a terrible taste in my mouth.
That was just unbelievable, dude. And that
Yeah,
literally, like, had that not happened, Morcano wouldn't have gotten the title shot. Like,
right. We're at a different place, in society right now. So for Jalen Turner, a guy that I'm definitely going to be rooting for in this fight. I know he's always been a your boy, kind of a my boy as well. We do have a picture with him at D107 MMA. Go check it out and do all that bullshit. But
I like Ignacio Bahamondes too, though, honestly. And
yeah,
Jalen Turner, I've kind of cooled on him for the same things that you're saying right now.
I respect it, man. And for what it's worth, Ignacio Bahamondes fighting out of Chicago. So there's that little connection for us. Look, I can't pick Jalen Turner anymore. I can't do it until he proves to me that he is a smart fighter. I'm not calling him a fucking idiot. I'm just saying he's done some idiotic ass shit in the cage. So I think Ignacio Bahamondes also gets a TKO. I'm going round 3, but it looks like we're going to be on the same fucking picks for this entire card.
I don't know, brother. I don't know because I want to know who you're picking for this next fight, which is, of course, the co-main event. Justin Gaethje, he's taking on Rafael Fiziev. This is a rematch of an absolute banger of a fight from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
How do you see the rematch going?
Great question, DS. Now, when we broke this fight down originally, how sick is that? We get to break down a rematch. We broke this down originally early on in our channel. We're doing it again. When we broke it down originally, you went Fiziev, I went Gaethje. Now, I ended up getting that right. And I'm not saying that to like sit here and be like, fuck you, DS. I picked it right and you didn't. But I do think this is a completely different fight than it was at that time. Now, I always have this thing that I tell you, DS, when it comes to rematches or it comes to trilogies, give me the guy that won the last fight. I don't know that I can stick to that in this one because a lot has changed and there are a lot of question marks on both of these guys. It's not just it's not just Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev anymore. It's Justin Gaethje coming off of being absolutely fucking slept his last time out against Max Holloway,
For the first time.
which I also predicted, right? I
You did.
predicted Max by KO, so somebody needs to slurp me off for that. And then it's not Rafael Fiziev that we saw fighting Justin Gaethje the first time. This is Rafael Fiziev coming off of multiple knee surgeries, man. Rafael Fiziev is a guy that depends on his speed, DS, a guy that depends on his explosiveness. And you have to assume that after multiple knee surgeries, especially you being a guy that's had hella knee surgeries, it fucking alters your movement, man. So is him slowing down a little bit or not being quite as explosive going to harm him? I think in the long run, yes. I think he's not going to be a champion level fighter anymore. But Justin Gaethje's getting on in age, man. This is a guy that's been doing this. He's been going to war for us for fucking years now. And last time out, we saw him sparked. And DS, I just don't know that his chin can handle it anymore, man. I think Rafael Fiziev is going to come out and he's gonna be slower than before, but he's still gonna be noticeably faster than Gaethje. And I think the shots that Gaethje was absorbing that first time out against Fiziev in those first, round and a half, 7-8 minutes of the fight, he's not gonna be able to absorb those, man. So it hurts to fucking say it. I'm going Rafael Fiziev round 2 KO. I think he fucks Gaethje up, hurts him badly, and puts him away.
I did not expect you to go that route. I really didn't. But I agree fully. I'm going round 2 KO for Rafael Fiziev. A lot of this is just kind of hunch feel for me.
Exactly.
I have to say that I love Rafael Fiziev. Like, he's one of my favorite fighters in the entire sport. He look, Rafael Fiziev could be 20% slower and still be maybe a top 3 fastest striker in the division. That's how fucking fast he was. Okay. He was unbelievably fast, unbelievable movement. The footwork is some of the best in the division. And look, I know there's a good chance that a lot of that is slower now. But Justin Gaethje is 36 years old, like you said, coming off of his first out cold, like brutal knockout. And one thing that I don't think you mentioned that I think is worth mentioning at least is that Justin Gaethje's look, he's a warrior, and it's going to sound weird to say. I don't mean that. I'm just going to say it. He's kind of had one foot out the door, right? And I don't mean that in like, oh, he's not giving it his all. My God, if anybody is, it's Justin Gaethje. Okay, I'm just saying that. How many times have you heard him say like, oh, like not for long, like this might be the last one. Might retire after this fight. Might retire after. So now 36, taking on a dangerous guy who was beating the fuck out of Justin Gaethje in their first fight, in the first round and a half, right? And then all of a sudden, Gaethje just landed a few strikes, and dude, I vividly remember that fight, by the way, like vividly remember watching it. And I picked Fiziev, and I'm like, dude, he's gonna fucking do it. Like, and that was like a sizable underdog pick. And I'm like, dude, what a great pick. And then Gaethje just started landing some shots, like just all hands. And every time he landed, you could see a visible mark on Rafael Fiziev. And then Fiziev after was like, dude, what the fuck? Every single shot was like. So now, don't get it twisted. Justin Gaethje still got mad power. I'm really just going off hunch here. I'm gonna take Rafael Fiziev second round knockout, just like you said, man. Uh, I love both these guys. I wish we saw this fight again when they were both healthy and a little bit younger, right? But
Yeah, DS. Look, man, a couple other things. I saw recently that video. UFC released like an alternate angle of the Max Holloway knockout of Justin Gaethje, and it was just zoomed in on Gaethje while he was sleeping. And holy shit, it looked fucking terrible, man. He's like, he's knocked out, right? We've seen people knock the fuck out, but he's breathing hard as shit, and blood's coming out of his fucking. It was just brutal. It was just like the brutal side of the sport that even we as MMA fans don't really get to see because they kind of, they draw the cameras away from that.
yep,
And one more thing, you mentioned the foot out the door kind of thing. I could see it. I totally understand where you're coming from. And just to put this into perspective, man, this year could be the year that we lose Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, which is
yep.
fucking crazy. Those two forever tied with their fights, but man, just two fucking legends. Justin Gaethje, your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. This fight's gonna be fun as shit for as long as it lasts.
It will be.
Yep.
It will be, man. And there's really not a bad outcome. I would like to see because Fiziev's going to be around for longer. I'd like to see him win it, but yeah. All right, man. Main event: Alex Pereira taking on Magomed Ankalaev. We're finally going to get to see Alex Pereira take on a grappler, a wrestler. Somebody who can take him to the ground, supposedly. Look, man, I'm gonna keep this pretty short because I pretty much verbatim agree with your breakdown in the video that you just posted earlier today. If you haven't, go check that out, guys. Bam Bam did a great job breaking it down. He basically did a full deep dive into the main event, broke down in great detail on specific reasons why we both feel that Alex Pereira is going to win this fight. And there's really not much else for me to say other than that, man. I just think Ankalaev is going to have a tough time taking Pereira down. If you guys think that the world champion in 2 weight classes and the shit that he's done and the dedication that he's shown and the aura that he has, this fight basically comes down to aura. And I think Alex Pereira just because of that. But look, man, I don't see Ankalaev taking him down like that. Is he going to be fully rehydrated too? If he's not, he's fucking crazy for that. Um, on the feet, I think it's laughable. I think it's laughable if Ankalaev truly believes that. I think he's just saying that. I don't expect him to fucking strike without prayer. If he does, it's gonna be a very short fight, in my opinion. I'm going Alex Pereira by knockout, man. I'm going Alex Pereira by knockout. I'm gonna go in the second round. I think it happens relatively early, to be honest with you. And then we don't have to hear from Magomed Ankalaev for a little bit because he's been quite annoying, honestly. And Alex Pereira just continues a ravenous, insane fucking streak in 2 weight classes. Uh, may not be replicated. But anyway, at the end of it, just go check out the video Dino Bam Bam posted. It's a great breakdown. But anyway, what do you think, brother?
Facts, DS. I mean, you agreed with what I said and basically said the shit that I was saying. So I agree with you, man. Look, there are a couple of other things, right? Number one, I don't want to sound like an Alex Pereira glazer, even though we have the video glazing Alex Pereira that fucking, I guess, got us blocked. That got us
Yeah.
blocked on Instagram or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
happened. But look, DS, I do think Alex Pereira is slightly overrated. And I do think Magomed Ankalaev is slightly overrated, man. And you were saying this comes down to aura and all that. And if it was an aura fight, it's not even fucking close. Alex Pereira is technical, man. He's a multiple time, multiple weight glory kickboxing champion. This guy has seen everything in terms of striking. So Magomed Ankalaev, a guy that's a good striker, but very basic in his striking, is not going to be able to bring new wrinkles to Alex Pereira that he hasn't seen before. The thing that everyone is expecting to be the difference maker is the wrestling. However, Magomed Ankalaev is not Islam. He's not Habib. He's not Marab. He's not a guy that, chains takedowns together, DS. He's a guy that does the majority of his work on the feet, then mixes in the takedowns later, kind of like we saw against Jan Blachowicz. I just think Alex Pereira has been training with Glover Teixeira. We know he's been doing work with Dylan Dennis. We know he's been working on the ground game for this whole time. So this entire time while he was fighting Yuri and Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree, and it seemed, like, what the fuck are these fights? He needs to be fighting Ankalaev. He's been working on his ground game, man. There's a method to the madness. And then final point here, Magomed Ankalaev, while he is the most deserving guy at 205 to get this title shot, he has been for a little bit now. Really not an impressive resume, man. His best win on his resume is Rakic, followed by what? Johnny Walker, Iwan Kutalaba, a long-ass time ago versus Volkan Oezdemir. Like, just, he hasn't fought Jamal Hill, hasn't fought Roundtree, hasn't fought Yuri, and he's getting himself a title shot. So for what it's worth, I think Alex Pereira sparks him. I think the difference on the feet is going to be, crazy. And if there is a difference in the grappling, it's going to be negligible, to be honest with you. I don't think of Ankalaev as some sort of wrestling savant, and I think Pereira is going to do well and put him away in round 2 early as well.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Well, there it is, man. We fucking agree on every single fight.
I love it. We got to throw a big parlay on this, a juicy parlay.
We got to throw 5 big boom, boom. Oh, sorry.
But yeah, DS, hey man, it was fun having you back, bro. Are you back? Are we doing this?
Brother. I'm back. I never really expected to be gone, but shit happens. And
I know.
Thank you for holding it down. Yeah, that's all I've got. I think we did a great job. I don't think I was too rusty, so fuck it.
Hey, fuck it. I'll take us out. Guys, if you enjoyed watching, do us a favor. Hit the like and subscribe button. Comment down below who you think is going to win this main event. It's damn near 50-50, and people are picking Ank, and I think they're fucking crazy, but let us know in the comments below. Also, follow us on Instagram at V107MMA, like the thing at the bottom says. Don't block us like Poetan did. We don't want that. We're good guys. I think we're nice. We're friendly. We're approachable. Yes, we're big dudes. DS, by the way, speaking of big dudes, you're looking slim, my guy. Lost some freaking weight, and the camera has noticed. Okay? The camera has noticed. But follow us on Instagram at V107MMA, guys. Tomorrow we will be dropping my quick picks. DS, we got some betting shit coming out either tomorrow night or Thursday with you. So full slate of videos. Full slate of videos coming up, yeah?
Let's get it.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.